All right, I mastered it that time, my boy. You saw it. You saw
Yeah,
it. Smooth
yeah, I seen you.
transition.
I
It didn't,
seen you. You know what I'm saying? You stumbled a little bit last time we was on here. You know,
it
nice.
didn't have
You
us
know,
staring there looking at each other all crazy and stupid.
yeah, yeah,
But anyway, what's going on, man? How you doing?
yeah. I'm doing all right, man. Just ready to get this episode going, man. Ready to talk sports. Actually, I'm saying that, man. I'm just ready for football to actually start, man. I wish we had
Well,
I wish we had actual games to talk about rather than talk about the idiotic things that football players are doing in their
hey,
off.
man. Well, officially, as of today, most football teams have started their season. Um, July 26th, well, July 25th for most of us, and then the 26th for the rest of the teams will
Hmm.
be the official start of training camp. We have, and training camp is the official start of the season. So we are here. We are finally here, but we are here.
Yeah.
Um, so that's something to be excited about. But in the meantime, the saga continues, and we are here to talk about it because the RBs still haven't gotten their way. They still haven't made their bones, as one would say. They are still looking for reciprocity, as Lauren Hill would say. But
You're being generous about it, Mark. They still haven't gotten their way. They still haven't. They're walking backwards. They moonwalking right now, Mark. Okay,
hey,
so they
hey,
moonwalking.
they
They going in the
they are
wrong
not
direction.
moonwalking backwards. Saquon is moonwalking backwards.
Hey, but
Saquon is out.
they all
Saquon is
tethered
out there.
together. They
But you're right. You are absolutely right. Saquon is out there saying one small step backwards for me, one giant leap backwards for all RBs everywhere.
terrible, dog. Yeah,
So
hey,
that's pretty.
that
I
man
mean, do you? Did you get the Neil Armstrong reference?
definitely
You said
got it.
moonwalking, and then I.
Only difference is Neil Armstrong wasn't a saboteur.
But I mean, I'm saying, man, you see how I did the alley oop there, like you know what I mean. You
Yeah, the
tossed it up, and
moonwalk.
I was like, ah, I'm
Yeah,
coming in.
that's his fire. This is fire, man. This is fire. I'm. I mean, the situation is not, but look,
No,
man. I gotta keep bringing this shit up because I'm trying to. Mark, think about this, man. Just a couple of days ago, we was excited about these fools doing a Zoom call, right? We were excited about the Zoom call. We were like, man, we got the top running backs that are paid coming out and speaking on behalf of all running backs. You know what I'm saying? We got the top guys speaking. Everybody's talking, and it's like, man, this is nice, man. They banding together. They're talking offline. You know what I'm saying, with each other. I remember how I said that I don't want them going through the NFLPA. They need to come together on their own. They started doing it, Mark. I was like, man, this is crazy. We might actually see some action here, man. And then today happened. So yeah, you know, it's amazing how much can change in a matter of 48 hours. You know.
well, just to let people know what the thing that happened today actually was Saquon Barkley, running back for the New York Giants. He uh, he signed a 1 year deal today, worth a total of $11 million. Yes, that is a total of $11 million. This 1 year deal, you may be thinking to yourself, well, maybe he did this because he won't be able to be signed um to a franchise tag next year. Nope, wrong. He will be signed to a franchise tag next year, or he can be signed to a franchise tag next year. There's no incentives to this. This is basically the difference between what he signed for versus what was offered as the franchise tag.
Well,
So,
go ahead.
okay, right here it says under the franchise tag he could skip mini camp. He is $10 million in earnings, no signing bonus, zero incentives. what Saquon Barkley actually agreed to was he has to report to camp. That is in the contract. The $10.1 million earnings is what he's going to get paid this year. 2 million of it will be paid up front, and 909K in his in incentives. So the max he could possibly be paid is $11 million.
Yeah, so this is the thing, man. There's a few details here because I'm just gonna speak freely here. The
Mm-hmm.
he could skip camp versus he will report to camp. He was going to camp anyway, Mark. This man is a
Thank you
straight A
for the light.
student, okay? This man is a straight A student. He is a team first guy. He has always been throughout college and now. You think he got on that interview and was really really about the stuff that he was talking about, Mark? You think he was going to sit out?
Mm.
Man, like, but I mean, I'm not gonna lie. There was a moment in time where I thought so, but it sounds like the could skip camp, whatever. He wanted to go to camp anyway. He didn't want to skip camp. He said he didn't want to be that
Hey
guy.
man, he said his leverage was to tell this team to go after
He
themselves.
said, I don't want to be this guy, but maybe it's the only way. He never wanted to be that guy. Le'Veon Bell was like, I'm doing this. Like, y'all keep telling me I'm not going to. I'm telling you I'm doing it. It's a different type of energy, Mark.
But it's weird because it's funny that you bring up Le'Veon Bell because for the last couple of days after Saquon said what he said, and everybody brings up these comparisons between what Le'Veon Bell did and what Saquon is doing and what Josh Jacobs is doing.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell, who was an accomplished, very good running back, was also running behind an accomplished offensive line. He was running behind one of the best offensive lines at the time in Pittsburgh.
I would argue that they were the best run blocking offensive line at the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were yes. So people bring up, remember when Le'Veon sat out and then James Conner that very next year, that very year that he sat out, James Conner had all those touchdowns and did all this stuff, all that amazing stuff. Yeah, behind a great offensive line. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention or using their eye test, but the Giants don't have that great offensive line. The Giants have a very subpar offensive line. So I don't care that they brought James Robinson in, who is a good undrafted running back, who is a 1K running back. He is a good running back. I don't care that they brought James Robinson in. They don't have an offensive line. James Robinson isn't going to be able to do what Saquon can do behind that offensive line. What's going on, Troy? How you doing?
Yeah, he's above average. The best is a really good description. And there's nothing wrong with that. I like above average for certain teams. But for a team that has no wide receivers and Daniel Jones is their quarterback, I need more than above average.
Right. Like put above average on the Eagles. He about to blow up for 1,600 yards. But that's not what they need over there. Like essentially what we're talking about is like the Detroit Lions if they just had I'm a flame some people up if they watch it later. But we're talking about if the Detroit Lions in the 90s, if they had Emmitt Smith, Emmitt Smith is not doing what Barry Sanders was doing behind that Detroit Lions offensive line. That's not happening.
Yeah.
But Emmitt Smith was able to do what he was able to do because he had one of the greatest offensive lines in front of him in the Dallas Cowboys at the time.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say there was a time where Saquon. Well, first off, we seen what the offensive line looked like when Saquon got there, because we seen it was so bad that Eli Manning couldn't even get Odell the ball the year before. You know what I'm saying? And then now you're in a situation where their offensive line is finally serviceable. Let's just call it serviceable, Mark. Serviceable. And then now he's able to produce the way he produces with a serviceable line. But point is, offensive line ain't good enough. Wide receivers ain't good enough. Quarterback's not good enough for y'all to win without Saquon. Not doing any substantial amount of winning. See, I'm not gonna get into this argument about the speculation of what would have happened with Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders had they switched teams, because there's one thing that I do know about the Dallas Cowboys, which people just completely try to forget, is they traded away Herschel Walker for 8 first-round picks. Okay, and that's how they got their team.
Yes.
And out of those 8 picks, a lot of them were offensive line, and that's why they were able to go from being trash to being a great team overnight, is because
they went from trashy to classy. Look, come on, man.
You know what I'm saying? Ashy to classy. Shout out to Biggie. You know what I'm saying? They went and got the top talent at offensive line, man. When you got dudes like Larry Allen blocking for you, come on, man. We're not.
But you said you wasn't going to get into this, so let's get back on topic.
Okay, you know what? I'm done. That's it. If you're saying that it would not been the same, or it would have been the same in a speculation, you don't know football. I don't want to talk to you. Let's go.
But but back to this, man. The fact of the matter is, like, to rein all this in, essentially Saquon Barkley, he crossed the picket lines for pocket change and some lent. And I don't know what's going on, man. Not like $900K was enough to get you to cross over. This is why these guys will never be shit. This is why they will never accomplish anything, because they can't put their foot down long enough to actually get anything done. Barkley, you had all the leverage here. This team, Brian Dable doesn't really believe in Daniel Jones. The GM might have signed him for all that money, but Brian Dable don't believe in that. He don't believe in that nigga for that. He know that at the end of the day, his paycheck is tied to you. His success is tied to you. And you had all of it. You had all the leverage simply by being able to sit down, and all you had to do was stay out for a little bit. Like, I mean, I'm going to tell you the truth, Sean. I would understand if he crossed the line for 13 million. I would understand it. If he crossed the line for 12 million and you can't franchise me next year, I would understand. But crossing the line for 11 million and they could still franchise you next year, that's crazy. Like, bro, you was going to get paid 10 million no matter what. Like, you know what? I can't get into people's finances. Maybe he was hard up. Maybe he needed that 2 million right now.
Okay, but this is what I'll say. This is what I'll say. The only way that he saves face with this situation is because he's on a short-term deal. That's a non-franchise tag, right? You saying for an extra mil? It's not even an extra mil. It's not even a whole mil. It's $909K. But all right, look, but either way, but the only way he can salvage this is if, because now he's in an actual non-tag deal, that he actually negotiates. He sits down at the table with them this year. He negotiates, and let's say by week 8, week 9, they come to terms for a new long-term deal. He's still going to get what he gets for this year, but if they're able to come to terms on a long-term deal, leading into next season, the following season, then maybe. And Mark, maybe that's the plan. The salary cap is going up. Maybe they'll have a little extra room. Maybe that's what they were waiting for. Maybe that's why they didn't want to pay him this year, Mark. And maybe that's what Saquon is hoping. Look,
I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna stop you right there, friend. Time out. Right there, what you said. Hoping. That's what he's doing. He's hoping.
All I can tell you.
He's hoping for something that ain't going to happen, bro.
That's all I can tell you,
bro. We already know. Listen. You can't take anybody's hope. You can't take anybody's hope for face value if they pay Daniel Jones $40 million. Because if you pay Daniel Jones $40 million, clearly your hope scale is off. Your hope scale is way off.
Maybe your hope scale is exactly where it should be, because you never thought in your wildest dreams that they would pay Daniel Jones $40 million a year. And then you're like, man, if they're paying Daniel Jones $40 million a year, I for sure am gonna get paid. Maybe that's what raised his hope. It's like he saw what they paid Daniel Jones, and he's like, there's no way they cannot give me my money at this point. I think maybe he thought that, but if he did, he's looking at it completely in the wrong way.
Devon said, I got to bring this up. Devon says he's getting more money under the table. Listen, if he was getting more money under the table,
we wouldn't even be here.
Like, I'm going to just say this. This ain't the program, man. Nobody's getting money in envelopes around here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro.
Look.
Maybe they promised them like some endorsement deals or something. Like, yo, you can go get this money. I'll set it up. You get this money from this endorsement. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you'll be the next person talking about who got live sports. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you know what this is probably like? I didn't even think about this, man. It's probably like this, right?
They're going Cash App them.
It's probably
Cash App
like this, Mark. Mark, you know how like when you go to the dealership, you can probably relate to this because this is something that recently you had to deal with. You know what I'm saying? You go to the dealership, they're talking these crazy numbers and shit. They be like, man, look, we want $30K for this. Like, dog, man, like $30K is a bit too much. This is used. It got this much miles on it. Like, it's only 2 years old, but nah, man, I ain't paying $30K for that. That's like $25K. All right, cool, whatever. About $30K, we not budging. And then what happens is, right, you tell them, well, look, I'm gonna take my $8K that I was gonna put down, and I'm gonna take that somewhere else. And then like, oh, $8K, why didn't you say you had $8K to put down? And then now all of a sudden you get your $25K price tag that you're looking for. Maybe he was sitting across from them at the table, and they pulled out $2 million out of a duffel bag, threw it in his face, and then he is like, you know what? I will take that deal. I'll take this $2 million up front. Maybe Mark, the difference maker was the $2 million that they paid him up front, man.
Hey, Leighton, I like this energy. I like this anti-RD energy right here. I like it. Barkley playing 10 games a year and getting $11 million is robbery from him.
That's, you know what? That's the best point that I've seen against this whole thing in a minute. Like, I can't even argue with that. He said 10 games a year for 11 mil.
Hey, man. Hey, what's Kadarius Toney getting paid right now?
I don't know.
Hey,
Kadarius Toney, does he play?
He's on the pup list right now. Like,
I said, does he play? I don't even know if he plays. I feel
like he tweaked his knee like 2 days before the official started training camp. Like, so he's on the pup list right now, man. Like, Kadarius Toney.
Maybe that's what we're missing. Like, Mark, you know how we had these talks about Daniel Jones. It's like, what is it? What are they seeing in him? I don't get it, man. He's healthy. He's healthy all the time. He shows up to work every day. He's the only person on the entire offense that shows up to work every day and doesn't get hurt.
17
Every single
games.
wide receiver on their roster got hurt last year. They had 4 guys get hurt last year. And then the other one, he was faking hurt so he could get traded to the Chiefs. So I mean,
No, he wasn't faking. He wasn't faking hurt
look,
because
man.
he played one game with the Chiefs and was hurt.
But he still played that game after he was supposed to be not playing. As soon as the trade went down, this man was on the field in no time, bro.
And then he was right back off it. Like
Look, man,
so.
all I'm saying is maybe that's what it is. Maybe they look at all these guys on the roster. They've been paying the real rap. They've been paying hurt players top dollar for a very long time. There was at least 2 years in a row where the Giants had the highest paid wide receiver core, and people are like, "Who?" And it's like, "Oh, Sterling and Galladay," and it's like, what? And it's like these dudes. I don't even remember that they played for the Giants because they've been hurt for so long. So maybe they're tired of paying these dudes that are hurt all the time.
Yeah, you could say that, but but essentially Saquon crossed the line for a pocket change, and other RBs. They're not happy with the state of things for the running back market. Jonathan Taylor did not report today. I don't know why he didn't, but he did not report today to training camp. And one person is noted as saying that he was visibly upset with with the state of things um, on a Zoom call, and that was John. And so apparently, Jonathan Taylor is one of those people that basically said, "I've had enough. This ain't happening no more," and we'll see how that goes with him. Um, the Colts aren't as dependent on him, but they don't have Naheem Hines anymore. I don't know who their backups are anymore. Um,
I don't know either. Actually, I don't remember the dude's name, but whoever filled in last year for him did really well. He actually was playing better than Jonathan Taylor.
uh,
But he only came in for like a game or two. But with that said, Jonathan Taylor ain't have the type of year last year to be sitting out and skipping camps, bro. Like I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I don't want to see that. You know what I'm saying? And Jonathan Taylor, he's still in his rookie contract. What he not showing up for?
because he letting it. Unlike Saquon, he's a solid brother and he stands with his people.
Hey, dog. Hey, look, man. Let them other people stand up. Let them other people. You in your rookie contract. You had a below average year last year. You need to stand your ass back up and show up and play.
So listen. Breaking news. As of like an hour ago, this is the stuff that kind of has to piss you off if you're a running back. Mm-hmm. Justin Herbert has gotten extended this year when he didn't need to be. Just now, he agrees to a 5-year, $262 million contract extension, all while not winning a single playoff game.
So that man getting almost 53 M's a year.
And hasn't accomplished a goddamn thing.
Yo, like, Mark, I don't know if you remember us going over the salary caps, bro. They only had like 18 million cap space. There is no cap no more. There is no room for, like, I don't know what's going on, but I can tell you this much. Eckler ain't getting paid. Austin Eckler ain't getting paid now. Like, whatever hope he had for getting a paycheck, that shit is gone. But I think he knew what was going to happen with Justin Herbert's contract before, and I think that's why he immediately, as soon as the offseason hit, he was like, yo, trade me. He already seen it. He's seen the writing on the wall. But it's definitely there now, you know?
Yeah, man. It's going to be crazy. Hey, but listen, I'm going to tell you right now, man. I know one area where they don't got these problems. They don't worry about what's being paid, who's being paid to what, and all that stuff. And I'm going to tell you right now, man, I got my son watching the wrong sports. We all got our sons watching the wrong sport. We need to be focusing on fucking soccer, my boy. Like, we doing ourselves a disservice over here.
Yeah, we teaching them the wrong football, Mark. We teaching them the wrong football.
Type of football. F this American stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you got a son that's an aspiring running back, knock that knock that oval ball out of his hand and put around 360 in his hand and tell him, hey, go ahead and start kicking because this is what's happening now. Saudi Soccer Club Al Al Halal has reportedly offered a record-breaking package to Killian. I can't pronounce his last name. I'm gonna just be honest.
Don't even matter what his name is. He can change his name to whatever he wants now, Mark. The
One,
billion-dollar man. I don't know. He could be whoever he wants to be at this point, Mark.
listen, they offered this man a $1.1 billion. Listen, $332 million of that is just the transfer fee to the team that he's coming from. Like they offered that, like here's 332 just to give them to me.
We got NFL teams that don't even want to pay 20 million dead cap to get rid of somebody. They like, we'll wait till next year when he only hits for the cap again, hits against the cap for 5 mil. We'll wait till next year. They're like, dog, we're gonna wire you this 332 M's. Go ahead, send this young man over here. Send this gentleman over here to Saudi. We'll take him, you know?
Like that's crazy talk. $776 million for a 1-year contract. You would have thought this contract was for. You would have thought this was a 10-year contract.
This ain't no multi-year contract.
It's what they just would like this young man for 1 season. This is more than LeBron James has accumulated in his entire career.
Yeah, definitely. I'll say this, man, Mark. Think about this.
No, I'm serious. Like they did the calculations, and I think in just basketball money, in pure basketball money, LeBron James, who is I think he's the highest earner in the NBA. He has earned $561 million in his 20-year career. 20-year career, $561 million in basketball money. Yeah. And this dude has the potential to earn $776 million for 1 season.
Well, let me just tell you this, okay? That sounds crazy for 1 season. You know what sounds crazier than that, Mark? This man tears an ACL. All I'm going to say, let that man tear an ACL. We might not hear anything about him for after that. You hear about his recovery, then all of a sudden they're going to be like, who? We never had this dude on our team. All I'm saying is if this man pulls an ACL, he might turn up missing, Mark.
Listen.
You walk away with 1.1 billion with a torn ACL. They're coming to look for you, Mark. At least that's what I believe might happen. But kudos to this young man. I mean, I'm saying kudos. I don't know how I really feel about him going to Saudi to take this money, but I can't tell you how I would act if somebody offered me $1 billion. I can sit here and stand on my soapbox and on my high horse and tell you what I wouldn't do for $1 billion. But
hey, Devon, can you clear that up for me, please? You're saying that salary cap is saving these owners. Are you saying the salary cap is saving NFL owners from themselves? Or are you saying the lack of salary cap is saving soccer owners? I just need to
clarify that. You know what I'm saying? But on a bigger note, like what it means for Saudi to be making these ridiculous offers to the golfers, to the, to all these athletes, these professional players. I'll tell you this: the way it works, if you're a contractor,
all money ain't good money.
Yeah, the way it works, if you're a contractor and you're over there working in Saudi, is if you're working, let's say you're working as a contractor and you're there to teach the Saudis how to work on their aircraft. What they do is when you get there, they process all your stuff. They get all your paperwork. They got everything, birth certificates, all this stuff, because they need all that, right? You get your passport, all that stuff. What they do is they say, don't worry about all that. We'll take care of everything. We'll give you room and board. We put you on this compound. All that's taken care of. You just just travel back and forth to work every day. Everything's paid for. We also take care of your paperwork.
I agree.
To you. But real quick, we're going to hold on to your passport. We're going to hold on to all your important paperwork. And whenever you want to leave the country because you're on this 1-year contract, whatever it is, and you have to leave at that 6-month mark, right? Guess what? You have to come to us to get your passport. You got to tell us where you're going. We're going to give you your passport. Okay, that's cool. Make sure everything's on the up and up. If you want to just leave town freely to go to another country, they won't let you. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of freedoms that you lose out on for going to work in that country. So I don't like you said, all money ain't good money. And it's a 1-year deal. So maybe he does his 1-year contract and then he says, you know what? I'm not going to re-up. I'm just going to leave. But let's say something happens during the course of this 1 year. And he's
let's say you cuss outside.
Yeah, I don't like this. Let me just leave. No, he ain't going nowhere, man. But yeah, he said the salary cap is saving the NFL owners from blowing up the market. You're absolutely right. Because I won't even say blowing up the market. They would overpay the quarterbacks to their own detriment to where they won't be able to field any other good players onto the on the team. You know what I'm saying? I think if you leave them to their devices, the NFL owners would pay their quarterbacks $70 million per year. And then they would look at every other position and say, nobody gets a second contract. We will just keep drafting guys and keeping them on rookie deals, and then as soon as the rookie deal is over, we get rid of them. I think that's what they would do. They still would look at how much they're paying the quarterbacks, look at how much money they don't have to pay everybody, and they would still make the decision to pay the quarterbacks what they do, and the only other position that would get paid is pass rushers.
Well, that you want, and if to be honest, if you wanted that to change, let's say this market was. Let's say there was no salary cap and that's what was happening. The only way to stop that is if you had a bunch of running quarterbacks in the league. And y'all know what I mean by running quarterback.
I don't know what you mean, Mark. What you mean?
I think you do. If they had a bunch of running quarterbacks in the league,
Allen is a hell of a running quarterback. If they had a bunch
of dual threat quarterbacks in the league, magically, all of a sudden, that market would change. They wouldn't be throwing all types of crazy money at the dual threat quarterbacks. I promise you that.
Mark, not unless they're well spoken. Not unless they're well spoken. Then you get all kind of money thrown at you. Look at Russell Wilson, man. Anyway, he said we know what that means. Yeah. Hey, look. Hey, that's a wild comment. That's a wild comment, Devon. Those guys, but y'all stupid. But yeah. All I'm saying, you know what I'm saying. Unless you're well spoken. If you're well spoken, then you know.
Then you're my type of guy. You're one of the good ones.
Hey, look, man. All I'm saying is there's only one person that fits that dual threat quarterback that has somehow escaped all of the malarkey that comes with being a dual threat quarterback. And there's one distinction between him and the rest of them. That's all I'm saying. He's a little more well-spoken.
Because he can play both sides.
He's a little bit more well-spoken than the others. So.
Because he can play both sides.
I'm just saying. I
right.
don't know.
Right. Uh-huh.
Look, he didn't play anything last year, but that's fine. He wasn't doing much of playing anything, but that's a good point to bring it though. But but
get
your kids into the soccer, man. And the crazy thing is, this is 1 year, $1 billion for Saudi. Guys are still getting $500 million, $700 million contracts over the span of some of years. So there's still way more money in soccer in general without having to sell your soul to the ops. You know what I'm saying? You can still get that bag.
Hey, listen, and this ain't even about like just Saudi Arabia. The money in soccer is crazy. Like, Well, like I wish actually I could pull up the number, but it's really not important. Google it yourself if you really want to know. But I just want you guys to know that Messi recently signed to what's his name? He signed to David Beckham's team, right? Was it David Beckham's team
Um,
here in America?
I don't know whose team it is. It doesn't matter, but
But it
I'm
doesn't
looking at
matter.
it. He's
But Messi
getting
signed over here in America for a bunch of money.
he's
Now,
playing on the Miami team in MLS, and they said 50 is averaging 50 to 60 million dollars a year.
mm,
And first off, that's in America. That's
and mind you,
on an
I don't
American
know
team.
where they're getting that type of money from in America
I don't know either, man. I don't know where
because nobody watches soccer here
the
in America.
owners must
So
be reaching into their own pockets. Like they're reaching, they're not pulling
and
from the
that's
funds
not ad
that
revenue. That's not
that,
ad revenue. I promise you that.
can't be money that's generated from the team. It can't be marked. I don't know, but they say they're paying that man $50 to $60 million a year for an MLS contract. I'm trying to tell you right now, get your sons, get your kids in soccer, man. Send them
And
fools overseas.
this is how far
FC Miami, yeah.
behind this is how far behind we are in football. Because I'm just going to call it what the rest of the world calls it.
At
This
this
is
point, yeah,
yeah, you know,
for Billy, shit,
yeah,
I'll call that shit basketball. I don't care.
you know what I'm saying? Like this is how far behind we are in football. Messi is considered washed in every other country around the world. Messi is considered washed. They're done. Like nah, your best years is behind you, my man. Over here in America, hey man, we're going to make you a downloadable character on Call of Duty. Hey man,
Oh man,
hey man, we're going to give you 50 M's. Like that's how crazy that's how crazy behind we are in men's football. Yeah, and Robert, you are absolutely right. We are behind in men's football, but women's football, they own the rest of the world.
hey, real quick. The rest of the world wasn't letting their women play sports, man. Like it is what it is, man. Let's call it what it is, man. That's another thing to that. But
Hey,
who cares
but
about that? We're gonna champion them because they out there.
but this is the only. Here's the thing. This is one of the few areas where I truly agree. He on Fortnite too? I know he on Call of Duty. I
He
didn't know
got to
he
be
was
getting
on
the
Fortnite.
bag for the Fortnite shit, man. Look, but go ahead.
But no, this is the one. Like this is the one thing that I agree with women about the pay scale. Like this is their shining example. The women's Americans football team has two back-to-back championships under their belt, and they got a bunch of more championships, but they have two back-to-back. And
Yeah.
somehow that women's team is paid less than the men's team who can't even qualify.
And
Like,
this is,
how does that make sense? The
and
men's team can't even qualify.
I'll be honest with you. Out of all of the women's sports in America, that has the highest viewership. Like when
Right.
World Cup comes around, people are watching Team USA's women. They're watching the women
Absolutely.
play. Like it's matter of fact, I probably watch more of their games than I watch Team USA. When we watch World Cup, I'm not watching USA. I'm watching Korea. I'm watching Japan. I'm watching Brazil. I'm watching all these other countries play over the US. I mean, call me what you want, but let's call it what it is, man. We're not watching the U.S. men's team
Right.
get their heads bashed in every time World Cup come around. Like, yeah, you funny, Devon, you funny.
The
We not.
WM.
That's not.
Hey, I'm gonna just point out real quick. You heard about the bull that bought he bought the courtside seats. Like, did you hear
Oh
about the?
yeah, Gideon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what's wild? You know
They
what's
banned him
wild,
from
Mark?
everything. They banned him
No,
from NBA games.
that's what I want to bring up, Mark. That's the state of the WNBA right now. This man showed up to a WNBA game as a YouTuber. And Mark, I'm gonna be honest with you, he's not even like one of the top YouTubers, but yet he can afford 4 courtside seats at a WNBA game, and he can show up with a blanket and lay down there. Because it's not punishment to ban him from the WNBA games. They have to make sure they ban him from NBA games. This is crazy. Like, you're proving his point. It's like, well, we could just ban him from the WNBA games. Like, but what is that really doing? We need to send a message. Come on, man. This is ridiculous.
Exactly. They was like, yo, we got to get you somehow.
Like, you obviously knew that banning him from WNBA games wasn't going to do shit. Like, that wasn't gonna do a damn thing. So, hey, you know what? Let's ban this dude from the NBA games too. That's the state of the WNBA right now.
Hey, only here when we're talking about a man making $1 billion do we somehow end up talking about a dude making a sleeping bag on courtside at a WNBA game. You're not going to get these type of connections anywhere else. You gotta stick with us.
He said, "Yeah, facts, definitely, man." Hey. See this. You're talking about Ronaldo might be coming to New York City. I heard the Ronaldo stuff too, but these guys are like 40, man. Like, I don't know how old these guys are, but I feel like I've been watching them forever, right? And then here he also said. Yeah, David Beckham started this years ago when he came over to play for the LA Galaxy. I remember that.
I remember what he was the big signing. Like, ooh, LA Galaxy, and then never heard about the LA Galaxy again.
Yeah, never. But I can tell you this: I've seen a lot of tabloids about Posh Spice. You know what I'm saying? And David Beckham. I gotta look at these fools on the tabloids. You know what I'm saying? And people don't know, they was up in your face on the news more than the damn Kardashians at that time. But
I mean, the only thing I know is that the Philadelphia football team is the Union. We are like awesome. Like, I know that we are awesome in like that we are challenging for the championship every single year, apparently, or whatever. But that's the only thing I really know. I need to start watching and going to games.
Man, y'all typically for the smaller sports, y'all got good ownership usually. Is Bon Jovi still an owner in the AFL?
I don't think so. I think he went from a majority stake to a minority stake.
Yeah, because I know he was doing good with that too. So but either way, y'all usually have good ownership for the smaller teams though. So not surprising to me, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Now listen, man. Like the moral of the story is that your running back son, tell him, knock that ball out of his hand. There's no money in being a running back.
What one more point to make, because we're talking about athletes and getting money, right? Imagine, and this is my one imagine that. Imagine somebody with the skill set of Allen Iverson deciding to play soccer instead of basketball. Iverson could be the richest athlete in America right now.
Imagine if Russell Westbrook was out there.
Yeah, like what? Man, these guys messed up. They fumbled the bag. We're saying that casually as these dudes made hundreds of millions of dollars. They fumbled the bag. Hey, look.
Hey, but listen. Here's the thing, though. It's up on a Tuesday, 8 a.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah, Mark, where were you? Where were you at 8 a.m. this morning? Where were you at?
I was driving home. I was driving home from dropping my daughter off at school.
Yeah, that's where you were at 8 a.m. I just finished getting ready for the day. We had to go take care of some traditional stuff, go up to the res and all that stuff, and I'm on the road at 8 a.m. Mark, I'm on the road.
That's the reservation for you laymen.
Yeah. So, but either way, man, I'm on the road at 8 a.m. wiping the coal out my eye, Mark. That's what I was doing at 8 a.m.
Yeah, because I'm gonna just let you guys know Sean don't look like it, but he's connected now. He's a part. He's a part of the American mob, the true American mob.
But yeah, and I'm saying 8 a.m. like it was 8 a.m. for me. It was 6 a.m. for me. I wasn't like, if you really talk about it, I wasn't even up yet, man. Look, here's the issue, man. Here's the issue. 8 a.m. on Tuesday, if you didn't know today, there was a boxing match, which should have been a high-profile boxing match, you know, seeing as though boxing seems to be struggling to claw its way back up to the top, fighting with the UFC. You know, UFC is
the UFC is opening the door.
They're a little vulnerable right now. That's what I was going to say. They're a little vulnerable right now. And what does boxing do? They have this fight at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, I've seen
Tuesday. Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I've seen. If it was 8 a.m. on a Saturday, I would have found a way to watch it, Mark. I probably would have known about it. But I'm over here going through my schedule of things to do for the week, and watching a boxing match at 8 a.m. is not on that list of things to do. So,
isn't that a Party Next Door song?
Maybe
it's up on a Tuesday or something like that. Isn't that a Party Next Door song?
It might be, man. I don't know. You know, but yeah, but either way, who was the match again? Who was it again? Fulton versus
Fulton versus Iyanu. Naoya Ayano.
Whatever his name is, dude. The Japanese dude that's beating the brakes off of people. Either way, apparently it was a great fight. I missed it. I got to go back and watch it because, you know, I was sleeping when it happened.
No, it's a Love Mackinnon song. Tuesday. It's a I Love Mackinnon.
Okay, Love Mackinnon. You know, one of them dudes that Drake was stealing from. Yeah,
right.
Anyway.
One of them.
they all start to blend in together after a while. But yeah, no, man. The we're not even here to talk about the boxing match, to be honest with you, man. We're here to talk about the fact that boxing is a dying sport that's trying to claw its way back up into contention with the UFC. Saw it fitting to host a match at 8 a.m. And I understand that it was happening overseas. I understand that. But you can have the boxing match overseas at a time to where it lines up to where the core audience that's going to watch this match is going to be awake. They could have held it let me put it this way, for example, like every other boxing match and fight, they could have had it at midnight on the East Coast, which would have lined them up to be fighting at like 11 a.m. or noon over there. Right? So why couldn't they have the fight at noon in Japan and then have it air here at midnight? Because y'all have us up to midnight trying to watch fights anyway. It's a really crazy oversight, Mark. And then even then, guess what? We probably still would have missed it because it was on a Tuesday.
Yeah. But hey, I'm gonna tell you right now, Fulton is very appreciative that it was on a Tuesday because luckily for him, not a lot of people got to see him his brain get beat in this morning. Like, yo, I couldn't imagine early in the morning getting my brain beat in. Like that's not the thing I'm trying to do at 8 a.m.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to have some eggs sunny side up, you know what I'm saying, with some bacon. I'm not trying to get punched in the mouth at 8 a.m., dog.
That's what I heard. I heard it got left sunny side up, Mark. I heard that's the way that shit was fitting. 8 o'clock in the morning, he laying on the mat sunny side up, you know what I'm saying? Like brain scrambled, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. Like, hey, look, man. It sounds fitting now. Maybe
that was appropriate. You know what I'm saying?
Punch for breakfast. That's what I'm saying. You know, I prefer grape juice, but some people prefer punch. I guess.
Maybe some Cheerios. You know,
I can't imagine that though. See, like you went to thinking about him getting his brains beat in the morning. I went to his mom's calling him after the fight while she's eating her eggs over easy. You know what I'm saying? Like she got her bed slippers on and her robe. She still got her bonnet on. and now she got to go check up on her boy to make sure he's still alive and counting the right amount of fingers.
Yo, man.
It's too early in the morning
man.
to do that.
Can you imagine, like, if whatchamacallit, if Troy is still in here, can you imagine being his supporter? You sitting down, you over the stove, flipping your flapjacks and shit, and then and you watching this man get flipped. Like, yo,
yeah. See, look, shredded. You see what I'm saying? Shredded hash browns with cheese on top. Hey, that he beat him like there was cheese on his head. Like, I don't know.
God.
Hey, we can keep going with these analogies. It's like he had cheese on his head the way he beat him up like that.
I mean, honestly, shout out to no, it's all jokes, but shout out to Fulton, man. Like, you just ran into a monster, and it's unfortunate. That's what it was. But in every fight, there's a winner and a loser. You just happen to be the loser in this one. So you get these jokes because you had a fight on a 8 a.m. on a Tuesday. And
damn, that's crazy. Like, you got all week to think about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, but I tell you one fight that's not happening on a Tuesday, and that's Errol Spence versus Bud Crawford. That's this weekend. Sean, do you have any speculations about this fight?
It's been a while since Spence is fighting. I had Crawford with or without that. We'll see how it goes. This is more of a fight that it's finally
because
come
of all the accidents, right?
It's exactly. He had that happen and some other stuff. There's a lot of stuff that happened that caused him to not be able to fight for a while. But because the accident happened literally right before he was going to fight. But the point is here, it's the first time that as a boxing fan, it's the first time in a long time that I'm going to get the fight that I want to see, and it's going to happen before both fighters or one of the two fighters loses their way. It's still not the way that I would have wanted to see this fight because of everything that happened with Spence. But I'd rather see this fight right now than to have to wait another 5 years like we had to wait with Mayweather Pacquiao, right? There's a lot of fights that we missed out on to see them when we, missed out on seeing them when we wanted to see them. And this is one of the fights where I don't even care who wins, Mark. I just want to see this fight. I'm hoping that whatever the conclusion ends up being, that we get to see a part 2.
Now, this is what's important about what you're saying right now. Like, you get in the fight you wanted to see when you wanted to see it. Now, the thing about the Fulton and Iano, or whatever his name is, fight, the important thing about that was that was a premier fight. At least it should have been a premier fight. And neither one of those guys did the whole avoiding, holding out, or anything like that. They signed and delivered. I mean, It was a wild, odd time, but that's what happened. I really do appreciate Fulton for not dragging us out and not pushing it away or anything like that. Like, he fought the dude that he should have fought when he should have fought him. You know what I mean? It just didn't work out for him. Now, with that said, I don't think we get this Spence and Crawford fight if it wasn't for Spence getting into all the accidents and stuff. You know what I mean? I don't think, if he wasn't in a situation where he needs to put, he needs buzz around his name or something like that, I think they would have tried to avoid this fight.
Yeah, I do believe so too. I feel like it's one of those situations where it's like, let's not avoid this fight. He wants to fight. He kind of needs it, but he's in a vulnerable position, not really having no real tune-up or nothing like that coming into this. This is the perfect scenario for if you're going to fight him with his name right now and you have this slight advantage, then we take this fight now. It's definitely it's definitely something that they thought about. We know that everything in boxing is calculated when it comes to these promoters and the fights that they pick. And I'm with you on that. I don't think it's an accident that they all of a sudden was like, hey, we want this fight. And then all of a sudden on both sides, there was no back and forth about rules, about this and that. It seems like one day we heard it might happen, and then like within a month or two, the ink was wet on the paper, and it was like,
Right.
wow, that never happens with these types of marquee fights. So
yeah, man, it's going to be it's going to be interesting watching this fight. So
yeah. I want to
but
speak to that. You said that's a fight that can bring boxing back.
yeah,
I don't believe. See, boxing can't seem to get out of its own way, and that's the problem with boxing. The Triple G Canelo fights could have been the fights that brought boxing back, but when you
there's a lot of fights that could have brought fights to
but
boxing.
but we're assuming that everything happens on the up and up, and everything and it ends up being a fair fight, and everything go like. All it takes is for the judges to ruin it, to where now it's not the fight that brings boxing back. It's the fight that solidifies why everybody left from watching boxing. Okay.
But it's funny because it's an interesting thing that I'm finding happen now is that boxing it feels like boxing is coming back slowly.
No, it is. It is.
But it's funny because it feels like boxing is coming back because of the oversaturation of UFC. It feels like all of a sudden I look at the UFC and I now look at Dana White as being synonymous with Don King. Once upon a time, I didn't look at it like that.
Yeah, absolutely. He was like the opposite, man. We championed him for all the things that he did differently that boxing was doing.
Yeah, but now I look at him no different than an Al Heyman or no different than Don King. Like the fact that this dude has a pay-per-view, like for a little while, it was like every other weekend there was a pay-per-view.
It was.
Like every other weekend there was a pay-per-view, and then you had all these different paper champ. Like I'm dead ass. Every time I say the word paper champion, just to let you guys know, I hear Mr. T in my head. Every time I say the word paper champion, I hear Mr. T in my head. Like to be specific, from Rocky 3, like where he's like paper champion, like that. Like I hear that every single time. But anyway, so you have all these different paper champions in the UFC that's just like that. He's just like, oh, someone John Jones doesn't want to fight this week because he doesn't want to fight this person. I'm gonna strip him of his belt, and now these two people are fighting for the belt, and it's like, what? Oh, Francis Ngannou doesn't want to fight. I'm gonna strip him of his belt, and now these two people going to fight for the belt. Like, how many times have we watched that happen?
Maybe it has something to do with the name, man. The name is Ultimate Fighting Championship, and they like, we need championship bouts, but we can't get championship bouts if the champ ain't fighting. Oh yeah, die and be a hero, live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Dana White. Hey, look, he didn't have to take that path, though. He didn't have to take that path. It's not. See that quote.
Hey, Don King did it, so you didn't have to, man. Yeah. Don King took the whole route. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, Hove did that. Hey, look, so this is the difference. Like when we're talking about that Dark Knight quote, it's a situation where it's like, hey, when I'm gonna do this, and in the beginning they're gonna see me as a hero, I'm gonna continue to do the same thing, but it's gonna happen for so long that people are going to get tired of it, and now I'm gonna be the villain. That's not what's going on with Dana White. He literally changed the way he was doing his business, man. He changed it, man. He changed up on us, man.
Yeah, he like straight up, like Dana changed like the way that they were doing their business was totally different. Now the way that they're doing their business is kind of weird. Okay. And like
Go ahead, because I'm gonna address what Devon's talking about here in a second.
But yeah, it's kind of weird, like where they just like, oh, we gonna just throw this guy to the wolves and this, that, and the third, and like we're gonna avoid this matchup here, but give this matchup here. All the while, not really paying their fighters in the UFC much. Like at least in boxing, you still can have your you can still have your sponsorship and shit. Like in the UFC, you better be I don't know who the sponsor is right now, but you better be wearing that shit. Like before it was like you better be wearing your Reebok shorts and you better be wearing your Reebok gloves, buddy. Like, oh, you sponsored by Muscle Farm? Nobody gives a crap. Get that shit out of here.
Yeah, damn, I
Like,
forgot about Muscle Farm. Go ahead.
like remember, everybody used to have the big ass MP on
Yeah,
their leg because they got that sponsor money. Now that
yeah.
sponsor money ain't like that no more because
Well,
they don't
well, well, the sponsors
because
go
they
directly
not
through the UFC now. The fighters
everybody
aren't the
huh
fighters aren't allowed to have sponsors no more.
exactly like before everybody UFC shorts look like a NASCAR car. Like you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like like they had all the different sponsors all over their shorts. That's when the UFC was dope.
it
Now
was.
everybody got these plain ass shorts. Like
That's
it's just
crazy,
whack.
man. So real quick, he said Devon said he preferred that over. He said boxing's downfall was the fighters say no to fights. That might be true, but the difference between boxing and the UFC is boxing. It was always like that because you didn't have. First off, you have three different leagues essentially. Okay, you have WBC, IBF, you have all these different leagues, and then there's no one umbrella person or entity that's overseeing the whole thing. So every individual is in control of their own destiny by way of the promoters. So yes, that's because they just never had oversight. Now UFC has that. They have the one guy that has all the power in the world to make sure these fights would happen. Okay, so yes, in the beginning it was cool because it was like, hey, this is the fight that needs to happen because this person beat this person beat this person. You basically start at the bottom and you earn your way up through the rankings. There was a ranking system and a structure. And then once the number two person gets to number two, and the number one person hasn't fought in a while, guess what? They fight in a number two person. It's just plain and simple. The way what Dana's doing now is totally different. You could say you prefer to where he's like, I'm gonna hold their feet to the fire and say you got to fight. But I remember there was a period where Conor McGregor ain't had a title fight in like 2.5 years. And then he was like,
Right.
okay, that makes sense. 2.5 years. Hey, man, you got to fight, yo. You can't just hold on to that belt for 2.5 years. Francis Ngannou, it wasn't even, I don't even know if it was a full year. And he's like, nah, we taking that belt from you, boy. We taking that belt. And it had nothing to do with him not fighting for a long time. It had
to do with contract shit. And
yes, it was a strong arm move because of the contract stuff. So that's like I said, when Dana's using his powers to be petty, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, the Conor situation was different. And then even with Conor, he's like, look, man, it's 2.5 years. Either you fight within this amount of time or we taking the belt from you. And then what did Conor do? Conor came back and he fought. But Conor was getting paid. Like that's a difference. Conor was getting the bags for that. You know what I'm saying? So you can't then tell Ngannou, you can't tell him, hey, I'm not going to pay you shit, but guess what? You got to fight in less than a year. Because if you don't fight in less than a year, I'm taking your belt from you. It's different. It's totally different.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
But
and then real quick, I wanted to get at this too. Money terraforms sports, period. No, it doesn't. And I'm going to give you an example. Soccer. This is a perfect example. Whether you're talking about but the difference is the sport of soccer has not changed. They stayed true to what people liked about the sport. They do not change the rules every 5 years. They do not change anything about it. People like it, and everything that they enjoy about it, they get to enjoy it year after year. And their fan base grows and grows and grows. What happens is and guess what? Because it grows and grows and grows, they get more money on more money on more money. It's not that money terraforms sports. It's whenever the leagues and the owners get greedy because they want more money too quickly. They try to get the fast money. It's not even about the money. It's about the fast money. The fast money is what terraforms it. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? NFL, everything right now in the NFL, let's be honest, man, it's about the sponsors. That's why the whole Kaepernick thing happened. Once you go after that fast money because you have all these outside entities sponsoring, now you're no longer in control of your league. Okay? Dana's making all these moves money-wise to get that fast bag, and then he's not spreading the love to the fighters. Okay, every league that chases the bag instead of trying to preserve the purity of the sport, they ended up there. And even this, look at baseball. Baseball, as much as you say people don't watch baseball, they try to preserve the sanctity of baseball for as much as they can.
To their detriment.
To their detriment. And guess what? They still get paid more than basketball and NFL players. So what are we talking about? It's not the money.
Hey.
You want to bastardize your sport for money. That's what the problem is.
Hey, man. It is what it is, man. Hey, listen, do you guys have any questions for us or anything that you want us to talk about before we head out of here? Because we are pretty much done. We got to all the points that we wanted to get to right away.
You don't know how much baseball makes if you say basketball makes more than baseball.
Baseball definitely has more money than basketball.
Yeah.
You could say if you want to have a conversation about the popularity of the two sports, that's a different thing. But
I'll say this: the reason why baseball.
Hey, Dre, you joined in a little late. If we actually did the whole RB conversation at the very beginning of this live, so you can go.
Yeah, I'll give you a brief, thing real quick. I'll just give you a line that Mark gave me earlier. Saquon Barkley sold out the rest of the running backs and sold himself short for bag of chips and pocket lint. If that's the best way to describe it, like that's what he did. So I mean, you go, like you said, go back to the beginning and see what we had to say about that. But what it boils down to is Saquon. Yeah, Saquon's actions definitely affect the entirety of the running back situation.
You don't like my hat, Devon?
Man, told you don't like that hat.
You don't like my hat? I love my hat. And that's all that matters at the end of the day is that I love my hat. Because I don't do this for you, Sean. I don't do this for anybody. I do it for me and my enjoyment. I'm a leader, not a follower.
I'm glad that you enjoy it, Mark. Because that is all that matters. Because you know what? At least there's one person on this planet that's going to enjoy that hat. So there you go. But yeah, real quick, baseball. They're talking about baseball and basketball contracts. Okay. Baseball. Okay. You're talking about the basketball soft cap. Baseball has a soft cap, so they can. Hold on, let me bring up some of these comments. Baseball makes 8 years, $400 million, but basketball makes 5 years, $300 million. And just to be clear, that's something that's only starting to happen with basketball over the last couple of years. Yeah. But there's
baseball's been making money longer than basketball, so their money is longer.
Yeah, and let's be honest, man. The fact that they could project out like a 10-year, $500 million deal means that they have money. Okay, but baseball also makes more money because they have 162 games. That's more ad revenue. That's more money from people going to the games, concessions, all that stuff. So I mean, yes, if you go by per game, basketball makes way more money. Basketball players make way more money, all that stuff. But nah, baseball players, if you're a top baseball player, you're guaranteed, like getting a guaranteed contract over the span of like 8 years, 12 years, 10 years. Basketball can't do that.
Baseball players make more money than basketball players.
Basketball players can't get a fully guaranteed contract for 10 years. Like, and let's be real. Baseball can give all these different guys through 30 mil because they have, mind you, they have more people on a baseball team than a basketball team. Basketball has less people, so yes, the top people will get those contracts. But you look at the collection of people that are making those contracts versus the collection of people that are making those contracts in baseball. There's a disparity. So
No, it's not. Hold on, I'm looking up something. Uh, there we go. Doo-doo-doo. All right. So yeah, man.
yeah, this is what I was talking about. Thank you, Rob. He said Dodgers got 3 to 4 players making close to 50 mil plus a year. That's what I mean. They can afford to pay a lot more people that type of money.
Yo, I'm gonna just put it like this, man. Bryce Harper signed a $13 million deal. I mean, signed a 13-year deal for $330 million. Now, and that's fully guaranteed. Bryce Harper is probably not going to play 13 years with Philadelphia. Like he's not going to finish out that contract, but he got that money.
We got Bobby Bonilla still getting paid a smooth couple mil a year.
Right, like
he stopped playing baseball 15 years ago.
Bobby Bonilla did. That's the thing.
This is what I'm saying. Yes, Jaylen Brown is making Jaylen Brown making that. I see what you're saying. That is, if you look at but the highest contract. Yes, if you compare highest contract for highest contract, then maybe. But I'm telling you, everybody's getting a minimum of 30 mil in baseball.
Yeah, like in baseball,
everybody.
I guess the best way to put it is Jalen. Look at the averages. You got to look at the averages.
The floor is a lot higher in baseball than it is in the rest of the sports.
And there's a lot, and there's more players. Is there more players in baseball? It's about the same.
There's more players in baseball than basketball. Football has more players than everybody. But
right.
Yeah, but think about a basketball roster. You got 12 guys on a basketball on an active basketball roster. Baseball, you put 11 people on the field.
Hey,
11, my bad, excuse me.
I got a question for you guys, man. What's y'all favorite? Like now that football is officially started, what's your favorite teams? What's your outlook for your team? Put your team name and what you think they're going to do this year, and I'll tell you whether you're right or wrong. I'm just curious. Whatever Devon says will be wrong.
You already know he's delusional about his team. He gonna say
absolutely
crazy stuff.
Kenny Pickett is his team's quarterback, so they're wrong.
Pat 7-10 with Mac as a QB. You know what? I can't even argue that. Even with that defense, even with that defense, Rob, you think the division is that tough? You think Aaron Rodgers coming over is gonna shorten y'all lifespan like that? Okay. He said I'm not playing this game. Hey, that's funny.
Hey, you know what's funny though? Because Marcus, I know what your team is. Your team is the Packers, and legitimately, I honest to God think Jordan Love is going to surprise the world. Jordan Love has sat behind Aaron Rodgers for like 4 years, and he shouldn't have. Like I think he is ready to play.
Well, let me put it this way, and I and I hate to put it this way, Mark, because I really gonna let you know, Mark, the Packers, you're over exaggerating Aaron Rodgers' presence on that team. I think you guys lose 2 more games. I think it's a 2-game difference between Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. Maybe that's disrespectful to Aaron Rodgers, but that's how I feel about
it. Dre, do I think the RB position can bounce back? I think it's possible. Do I think it will? Probably not.
Here's the deal.
I think it's possible though.
The running back position ain't dead. So when everybody thought it was dead, people like Derrick Henry showed up. And everybody knows that Derrick Henry, every team would want to have Derrick Henry on their squad, right?
Yeah.
And then you look at a guy like Josh Jacobs that shows up, and Josh Jacobs is balling. Nick Chubb
Josh Jacobs, truthfully, was the only reason why the Raiders was winning games.
They weren't winning games when they weren't giving them the ball.
Because Josh McDaniels' play calling certainly wasn't winning them games.
So what are we talking about? What I'll say is this: will it bounce back? I don't think we'll ever.
I think he's talking money wise. Right?
Money wise, it's not going to happen. Money wise, it's just not going to happen.
Not when you got people like Saquon crossing the picket line for nothing.
Yeah, and the other reason why is because of this. Back in the day, you could get that bag if you were Adrian Peterson. If you're Adrian Peterson today, they will look at you like you can't do the other things we want you to do. You can't catch the ball 8 times in a game. Derrick Henry is the only person in this league right now that can do just one thing and not have to go out there and catch the ball. He can go out there and not have to catch the ball to get paid. He's the only one. So you have to be Austin Eckler. You have to be Christian McCaffrey. You have to be Alvin Kamara. You have to be these guys. And just for reference, outside of Eckler, all these guys are getting paid above $10 million that I just named. So you have to be the guy that could do every single thing. You got to be a wide receiver and a running back to get paid. So the money is never going to be that because those guys will always get paid, but there's always only going to be 5 guys in the league that can do what they do. Then on the other hand, the Derrick Henry type of running backs, even if they exist, teams don't want them. Okay,
I think about it like this:
teams don't want them, so teams don't want to play like that. So because they don't want to play like that and they don't want to build a team around that, then it's never going to happen. Like you're never going to see. In order to revive the position money wise, the league will have to see a 27-year-old running back get 1,600 yards rushing. But that's not that. This is the thing. If they see my problem with reason why I disagree is because they'll see a 27-year-old running back get 1,600 yards, Austin Eckler, and then they'll just say, we're not going to pay you. We're not going to pay you. Like whenever a running back of that age gets that type of yardage, the NFL teams say, better get rid of him now before he starts doing too well.
Hey, Dre.
Now before he starts doing too well, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Dre, we talked about that last question too, right here. We talked about this too. I said, go ahead and knock that oval ball out your child's hand, and go ahead and throw a round black and white one in his hand, because that's where the money is. Like if your child is trying to be a running back, tell him F that. Nope. Like that. Truthfully, that's the only way it'll change is if parents let me put it like this. It's one of the reasons that the NFL is now trying to make the game safer is because parents are taking their children away from football. The NFL is losing its product.
Yeah, they're losing future stars. Yeah,
there are less kids signing up to play football, and even the kids that are signing up to play football, the average age in which they start is now older. And so the NFL has to make the game safer in order to entice parents to want their children to play the game. That is truthfully probably one of the only real ways that you can see the running back position come back is if parents stop allowing their kids to play running back at all. Like, no. And then it'd be like, oh, we kind of need this position to still be viable. We need to invest in this position to entice people to want to be a running back. But right now, you're not going to see that because the market is saturated with a bunch of running backs. Not every running back is Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley or Dalvin Cook, but it is saturated with a bunch of Miles Sanders. So
Yeah. So essentially, this is the thing. If you're not a top tier running back, you're replaceable, right?
yeah,
Sooner or later, those mid tier running backs they won't exist anymore because why go be a mid tier running back in the NFL and earn $1 to $2 million a year for 5 years when you could go play a different sport or you could play a different position.
right,
I talked to him about this last episode and I said, if you're a person, let's say you're 6 foot six, let's say you're 6 foot 6'1", 220 pounds. You're going into college. If you're athletic enough, you can say, you know what, I don't want to be a running back. I'm going to be a safety. What's to
right.
stop? What's to stop somebody who wants to play football and says, you know what, there's no money in being a running back, but I'm athletic enough to do whatever position. I'm going to go learn how to play safety, right? Richard Sherman made more money playing cornerback than he would have if he played wide receiver. Okay? I know a guy that went to high school with me that played linebacker and running back in high school, and he went to go be a linebacker because he was rated higher as a linebacker, but also there's more money in it. There's more money in him being a linebacker than him being a running back. He can play longer, and he'll get paid more. Simple.
Right.
People are going to start making these business decisions at an earlier age. Okay.
Right.
At an
And it's
earlier
not
age.
just the people that will be making his business decisions. The parents will be making his business decisions for them.
Yes. Okay. I see that in Africa, Black Caribbean countries, all the brothers play soccer and love soccer. They also like basketball. Notice they don't go and become professional basketball players. They don't.
So yeah, man. But yeah, Dre, if you go back to the beginning, we talked about the fact that football around the world. We talked about the RB market as well. It looks like we are. Uh, looks like this is pretty much the end. The guys that are in here, if you don't mind, please liking uh, the post. Just hit that like button, that thumbs up. No matter where you are, whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook, please hit that for us. Yeah, Trayvon Digg got 5 years, 104, and isn't even a top CB. Yeah, man.
Barkley is hold on, let's bring that up. In CB, if Barkley is viewed as generational talent and can't even get multiple year deals. But that statement right there is exactly why we're saying the future of the running back position is in jeopardy because if you're playing running back in middle school and high school right now, you're watching this go down right in front of your eyes. And if you're saying I'm no Saquon Barkley, then you're not playing running back anymore.
Hey, hey, like you can look like truthfully, you can look at as you bring up Giannis, Embiid, Hakeem, make up the NBA. Now you can let's talk about this for half a second, just from the standpoint of the NBA. We watched the NBA try to push the small ball, positionless basketball narrative. We watched it. We watched them try to push that shit over and over and over again. And then here, here comes Embiid, Giannis, and Jokic, and says, "F that." Like that Milwaukee team very much played their positions. They weren't positionless. That when they won the championship, you know what I
yeah,
mean. The Denver Nuggets very much had their positions, and Jokic was a center, a true center, and now it's like, oh, you can't just throw any guy up there that's supposedly a center, and be like, oh, go up against Jokic. And like, no, like these guys they're pushing up against that narrative. You're going to need a guy in football. Basically, we're going to need another Derrick Henry to just just start running through people and being like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
that don't work here.
yeah. Real quick, the small ball worked at a time when there was no dominant big men in the league. That's
Right.
why it worked. People thought it worked just because it's a better plan. It's a great plan when there's no big guys that you have to worry about. So it was a great plan for the time and the way that the league was set up. Now you got big guys destroying that, right? So then now let me switch it back to football, like what you're talking about right now with Derrick Henry. Teams' normal set used to be a 3-4 defense or 4-3 defense. Now teams' normal set is nickel.
Dime,
And
quarter nickel.
they go nickel, right? And then the nickel back is either a cornerback that can tackle, or they have a tweener linebacker / safety, like an undersized safety, come down and play the nickel. So they're like, we don't even care. Like we just want you to be able to cover. We don't care if you could tackle or not when you come down to play the nickel. It used to be if you play the nickel, if you're the nickel back, you got to tackle. Now it's just like, as long as you got good coverage, then that's cool. Guess what? When you have Derrick Henry on the other side, you better have 3 linebackers. Okay? Simple. You better have 3 linebackers, or you better have a damn good safety, an extra strong safety laying around that you can throw in a nickel. Okay? You can't just play the way that everybody plays. It's resetting. It's resetting how you got to play your defense because he's going against the grain. Okay, so yes, it would take more Derrick Henrys, but the problem is Derrick Henrys exist. They don't get burned in college. They don't get burned in the NFL because it's not the sexy thing to do with your offense. Pound the rock. It's not. The last time it was acceptable before Derrick Henry was Adrian Peterson.
Technically, I keep bringing this up too, but technically, last time it was acceptable was LeGarrette Blount with the Patriots.
Okay, yeah, but I'll even say it wasn't really
Patriots in 2016. LeGarrette Blount ran all over the league to the tune of a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he got 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. But I'll say this: he still got treated like.
No, I'm specifically pointing out 2016. Rob know what I'm talking about. LeGarrette Blount went crazy on the league in 2016.
But I will say this. Okay, I see you taking your shots, but I will say this: the league treated him as if he was dispensable.
Right. Yeah.
He won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. They got rid of him the next year. The next year, he went and played with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then after that, the Pittsburgh Steelers said, screw it, we letting you go. Then he got picked back up by the Patriots and then won another Super Bowl with the Patriots.
Right.
And then he got let go again. And then the next year he went to the Eagles. I'm saying
he won a Super Bowl with us.
But that's what I mean by saying it's not acceptable. It's almost like even in those situations, they treated it as like that's not really my girlfriend. I mean, we just kind of hanging out, you know what I'm saying? And then, she holds you down and all that stuff. And it's like, cool, man. It's like, man, you got a pretty sweet girlfriend. That's not my girl, man. Matter of fact, I let her go yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it feels like.
Like the only problem with Derrick Henry when he was in his prime of running all over the league was the fact that Ryan Tannehill was holding him back. That was the only problem. But Ryan Tannehill was holding him back because essentially Derrick Henry's usage was no different than Derrick Henry. I'm specifically talking about the 2016 season. Derrick Henry's usage. LeGarrette Blount's usage was no different than Derrick Henry's typical in that 2016 season. The only difference was that Tom Brady was the guy that was when they needed to throw. Tom Brady was the guy throwing, but that team ate and lived off of LeGarrette Blount's running. You don't run 300 plus times in the season and not be a running team. No, I don't care who your quarterback is. You're a running team if your running back has 300 plus touches and his backup has 100 plus touches.
But I still want to point out that even in Derrick Henry's situation, the first 3 years of his career, he was sitting behind DeMarco Murray, even at a time when DeMarco Murray wasn't producing. and it was strictly because Derrick Henry was seen as a one-dimensional running back. What I'm saying is even Derrick Henry had to fight through the stereotypes, and he had to fight through the stigma that comes with being the big punishing back. Like
it made
that
no
stigma
sense that
still
they.
exists, is what I'm
It
saying.
made no sense that they played DeMarco Murray 2 years before they started Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
Insane.
I'm just saying. Yeah, so I'm saying like he still had to fight through the stigma.
Yeah.
And then now I'm saying you can have Derrick Henry 2.0 show up right now, and teams are still going to be skeptical. Teams have to first give them a chance, and then if they give them a chance and they perform, then it can change. But I think the wall is at the teams not giving these guys a chance, whether it's not drafting them or whether it's drafting them and not letting them do what they do. I still haven't seen Trey Sermon in a lineup. Not to say he's Derrick Henry, but he's that type of a back, so.
Exactly. Dre, I brought that up last episode. You weren't here for last episode, but the last episode, I brought up the fact that you're going to now have guys that refuse to play running back in this position, and they refuse to be labeled as such. So you're going to have guys like dual threat guys like Cordero Patterson or whatever like that. That's going to say, no, I'm a wide receiver. You might see me in this backfield, but I'm a wide receiver. Don't ever label me as a running back. Like that's the kind of stuff that you're going to start seeing.
Yeah, like KD, don't call me a 7-footer. Yeah, right. You don't want the stigma that comes with that. Yeah,
exactly. But hey, man, we're going to stop it here, guys. Thank you for the engagement. We appreciate it. You good with this, Sean? Or you have anything else you need to get off?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
All right, cool. All right, guys, appreciate it. We're going to get back at y'all next Tuesday at 8 p.m.
Same time.
Same bad time, same bad channel, as they say. You know what I'm saying? We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for engaging with us. We appreciate it. Hopefully this grows. And if you got friends that like to have these conversations and they give you an oddball point, tell them to be like, yo, join this live next Tuesday. So so that they can get their point off and we can talk to them about it. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna read this last comment, and we're gonna be out of here. So this says another thing are the type of backs being drafted nowadays. We need more 6'3", 250-pound powerful backs.
Yeah, and they wonder why all these running backs are getting hurt.
Yeah. Ain't a lot of them out there no more. Like we said, those guys are now being pushed in other ways.
Defense.
In high school and in middle school, where you figure out what position you play, that guy that was 6'3" and could run and all that shit. Now they're like, hey, get your ass over there, and you're a defensive end now.
Hey, we need hands on the ground, baby. Hey, Montez Sweat, 6'3", 260 pounds, run a 4.3 40.
Right.
And that man's a defensive end.
100% should be a running back. 100% should be a running back. But no, you're now a defensive end because we don't want that type of dude as a running back.
Yeah, simple.
But yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for saying great show, good show. Appreciate that, guys. All right. Peace.